You're watching Moments with Jill Walker. Today I'm talking about the subject called prayer. Now I know I've talked about this subject before. It's a pretty broad subject, isn't it? But I want to remind you again, don't get discouraged when you pray and you feel like your prayers just aren't being answered. I think we've all felt like that once in a while. I think, I've been praying about that. The situation is still the same. Why don't I just give up and quit praying? The Bible has something to talk about that. It really does. It says in Psalms 66 verse 20, "Blessed be God, which hath not turned away my prayer, nor his mercy from me." What is mercy? It's not receiving what we do deserve. Let me read that again. Psalms 66 verse 20. "Blessed be God, which hath not turned away my prayer, nor his mercy from me." Remember the subject that Jesus spoke about in Matthew 6, 9 through 13? The Lord's Prayer, the model prayer. "Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." So you start out in prayer by praising the Lord. I know it's sometimes hard to remember that, especially when you have a burden and you want to just enter the throne room saying, "But God, you know my need. God, I need help." But the Bible tells us to enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise in Psalms chapter 100 verse 4. So look at the model prayer recorded in Matthew 6, 9 through 13, and it gives you a sample right there that Jesus himself told us about in the Lord's Prayer, which is the model prayer to know how to make our petitions made known unto God. You start out by you just praising the Lord and thanking him for what he's done. "Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed or holy is your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done." You see, you want to pray according to the will of God, on earth as it is in heaven. "Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen." It says in James chapter 5 verse 16, "The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much." And finally, I love the story of the widow and the unjust judge in Luke chapter 18 verses 1 through 8. And it says in verse 7, "Shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him? Though he bear long with them," it says in verse 8, "he shall avenge them speedily." You see, the Lord really cares about your prayers. The devil wants to tell you that your prayers don't really matter that much. Now remember, James 5:16 says, "The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much." Your prayers do matter to God, so don't give up praying. Be like that widow and the unjust judge in that story that I just told you about in the book of Luke. The widow and the unjust judge. God tells us with faith and patience, we will inherit the promises. You don't want anything answered that's not according to God's will. But if it is God's will, don't give up praying, and he will answer. You've been watching Moments with Jill Walker. God bless you today.